It's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you without a dope beat. Step two, step two, step two, step two, step. It's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you without a dope beat. Step two, step.
It has been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. What's going on, San Diego? Paul Reindl here, episode 43 of the Reindl Report. This is a San Diego-based sports podcast. Going to be all over the board here on this edition of the Reindl Report. Really looking forward to it. Look, there was a podcasting hiatus for anybody that's been following along. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to bore you with excuses. You don't care. I don't need to justify anything. Life happens. Excited to be back. Going to be a good one here. I'm joined with my buddy Roger Pierce, who longtime friend. He's been on the podcast before via the telefono, but Roger is here in person now. Raj, what's going on, man?
Live in living color, man.
How about that?
Hey.
You literally just landed in San Diego and you're like, podcast. Let's go. We got
to do the podcast.
That's why you flew down to San Diego, right?
This is the only reason why I did
for episode 43 of the Reindl Report.
Yeah, 43. That's my favorite. No, it's not my favorite number, but it's a good flight, man. Southwest. They know what they're doing.
Amen.
I'm a fan of picking my seat.
So you did not fly with United.
Safe to say I won't be flying with United for a while unless they are offering rock bottom prices.
Was anybody dragged through the aisle of your flight today?
No, they weren't.
Okay.
They weren't.
Well, then that's a good sign that it was a decent flight.
Yeah, that was definitely something that I was happy did not take place on my flight.
Well, so this is being recorded May 25th. That is your timestamp, and it's being recorded on Thursday evening. And what has just happened, the Cleveland Cavaliers have fought off the almighty number one seed Boston Celtics, who didn't even put up a fight.
All right.
It was a matter of time.
Isaiah Thomas, go Dogs. You know, had he been healthy, I think it could have been no. Honestly, no. It was not going to be
the only game they won was the one that he wasn't there for. I mean,
right.
They got blown out by 50 points each time.
Right, and we could talk all about that.
So we're gonna get to it. The first trilogy in NBA Finals history. I didn't actually believe that until I saw that. I had no idea that that's what was going on. I thought maybe the Celtics and the Lakers in the 80s, Magic and Bird, might have gone back to back to back, but they didn't. It was 84, 85, skip 86, and then went to 87. So this is the first time we're gonna have 3 straight years of the exact same NBA Finals. Cavs, Warriors. James going back to his 7th straight NBA Finals appearance. Not LeBron James, by the way. James Jones. James Jones, the GOAT.
That is amazing.
Going to his 7th straight
James
Finals,
Jones.
Piggybacking LeBron.
As long as he's on the team, you can be certain. No, it's he just happens to be on the same team as LeBron James for those people not catching on.
Yeah, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of heavy sarcasm here. But anyways, so I want to get into the NBA Finals. I've got some NFL stuff I want to get to. Kind of set the scene. Roger, you said go Dogs. You are from Seattle. Huskies fan.
Born and raised in
Seahawks,
Seattle. That's where
Mariners,
I met Paul.
Huge, go Mariners. All that stuff.
We don't talk about the Mariners right now.
And we're not going to talk about them on this podcast. Fun thing for me, because I have a story attached to this. Want to give people a chance to get to know you a little bit. I'm not going to say it's my number one pet peeve, because that's kind of a bit of a hyperbole. There's a lot of things that piss me off.
I don't know where this is going.
What are some of your pet peeves? Because something happened to me yesterday. I have a story. Something happened to me, and it just drove me nuts. But what's a pet peeve? It doesn't have to be your number one. Could be if you have one. But I just feel like every time I say, that's my number one pet peeve, I've probably said that about 10 different things.
You know what's funny is I always in the moment am like, that's one of my pet peeves. And now that I'm on the spot, I can't think of what exactly that is. And I wonder if that's just me putting it in the back of my mind to never think about again, because it does infuriate me that much. A lot of them have to do with with driving. So like slow turners, not a fan of slow turners at all. All right, if you're gonna make the turn, go. I know I have way better ones that I feel like people would agree on, but I'm curious to know what yours is that you're going to say.
So driving related, it was driving related, which
Okay,
I would
okay.
agree that a lot of my pet peeves are while I'm in the car.
Yes.
Slow turners, people that leave their signals on
Oh my
forever.
gosh. Are you coming in? Are you not coming in?
Right.
Am I okay to
What are
pass
you
you? I don't
doing?
know.
So yesterday I go to the store, right? It is 7 o'clock, 7:30, pretty crowded parking lot. And I'm cruising down the aisle in the parking lot, and I see a spot. I'm like, dope, there we go. And I'm pulling in. Some son of a bitch left the shopping cart
Oh no.
in the spot.
Nope.
To make matters worse,
No.
the shopping cart collector thing, the parking spot where you put the actual damn freaking carts,
Uh-huh.
was 2 spots over.
That's
This
bad.
lazy son of a bitch just left the cart in the middle of the spot and didn't think that's about 10 feet that I could walk and push this. You could have just like aimed and just launched it and it would have gone in. I could not believe it. There was nobody behind me. I got out of my car and moved the cart because I was like, I'm taking the spot. But that pissed me off yesterday.
That's pretty infuriating. I don't like that either. Especially crowded parking lot. That one spot. And let me guess, this is one of those where you're coming in for the turn and, you know, the bulk of the
I was
the
halfway
cars,
in the spot.
Okay, yeah, bulk of the cars next to it are hiding the fact that there's a shopping cart in there. And so you're like halfway in the spot, like you said, and you're just like, really, guy or gal? Not gonna be sexist towards people who leave shopping carts
Check your privilege, bro.
in parking spots.
Did you just assume gender, bro? Little PC principle there. All right,
That was a South Park reference.
let's
No one
get
got
into the NBA Finals. So
All right.
Golden State, Cleveland, the trilogy. We've been over that. Golden State sweeps the playoffs, 12-0. Cleveland goes 12-1. Losers had
to lose a
took 'em
game.
13 games instead of 12. Freaking amateurs
Oh man.
at Eastern Conference. Am I right? Look, I specifically remember after coming down from my high watching the end of Game 7 last June, going, it's going to be Cleveland and Golden State again. That was before they went and got Kevin Durant. You just knew it was going to be Golden State and Cleveland. Now we got it. How pumped are you?
This is the matchup that needed to happen again because it's the 2 best teams in the league. I mean, we could have maybe thrown the Spurs in there with a healthy Kawhi. I think, you know, had the Spurs been able to give Golden State a run for their money. But let's be honest. I mean, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, that team was probably going to prevail. I'm not trying to upset any San Diego State fans of Kawhi Leonard, who may or may not be sitting right next to me. But the fact of the matter is that Golden State was, probably going to win that series regardless. And, you know, now that they have, and they're going to face off against the Cavs, which, I mean, last year's finals was amazing. What we witnessed last year never happened ever. And I know that's a painful subject for Golden State fans, but you think about it, a team was down 3-1 in the playoffs and came back and won. Not to mention, and I tell this people all the time, Paul, I say, what you witnessed last year will never happen again. And I don't mean we won't see a 3-1 comeback.
Golden State blew a 3-1 lead.
Where's the memes at? No, what I'm saying is that you will never again see a team with the best regular season record ever be up 3-1 in the finals and have a team come back and beat them. You'll never see that.
Golden State blew a 3-1 lead.
And some people didn't think that was a big deal. And I'm just like, how do you not? And I get it. If you're a Golden State fan, yeah, it's upsetting. You don't want to think about that. But as a casual basketball observer, how could you possibly not just take a step back after that Game 7 and realize, what did I just witness?
It was incredible.
This is something they're going to be talking about for
Forever.
Forever. And here we go again. You know?
Yeah. It was crazy. I mean, the block.
Oh my gosh.
There was the shot, Kyrie. But the block, I mean, I was elevated to a higher place when that happened. I mean, granted, I'm a huge LeBron James apologist. I will defend the guy. He's the GOAT or going to be the GOAT, whatever you want to say. I'll have that argument any day of the week. But, oh my God, when that happened, I was just like, I'm a better person for having witnessed this. And look, no joke, I'm not sure how many times. I'm not going to embarrass myself. It's less than 5. But since last June, there's a YouTube video. It's like 15 minutes long, something like that. And it's just the final like 6 or 7 minutes of Game 7. I've totally watched it a handful of times. I'll just watch that. I'm like, I need to relive that again.
You know, it's funny that you say that, and honestly, that's not a bad thing to admit, man. I've definitely rewatched The Block many times.
I need my fix, man. I need my fix.
And going off of that, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you something.
Fire away.
That's our Coach Taylor for the day, reference of the day. Do you ever find yourself No, I'm going to be the one embarrassed because this happens to me quite often. I'll just be walking, and sometimes it happens at work where I'm walking from my desk to the bathroom or whatever, and I just think about that play in my head, and I can hear, remind me of the announcer's name who calls that. Do you remember?
Kevin Harlan?
No, he's the ABC guy with Van Gundy and gosh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
And we're not doing him. We'll look it up right now. That way,
Wasn't Gus Johnson, was it?
I wish it was Gus Johnson. He's my favorite announcer. Anyways, all I can hear is, "Oh, blocked by James!" Like I can hear it in my head, and I just think about it, and I instantly, going back to you going to a different place, I get happy.
Yeah.
It's one of those sports moments that will be iconic, and we witnessed it. And me, like you, when it happened, I don't think I've yelled, "Oh," as loud as I have ever watching a game of basketball.
It was nuts.
It was.
So Cleveland, Golden State, round 3. Cleveland, second place in the East. They won like 51 games or something. Golden State had a really shitty year. They only won 67 games. But how do you see this series playing out? Because personally, I'm torn. I really don't know. This game, the series could easily, I could see it being a 4-0 sweep, with every single game being incredibly close, super entertaining, maybe one blowout, maybe. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 4-0 sweep, really close games, and it comes down to like the final possession. I also wouldn't be surprised if it goes Game 7 again.
Are you saying in favor of either team, or are you saying it for the sweep?
It's like 60-40. If it was the sweep, I would go with Golden State to sweep, but I would probably take Cleveland in 7 again.
Right.
If the series was extended. I can just see Golden State in one of those first 2 home games. I can see them blowing them out by 25 points.
I agree.
And then I can see the other 3 games coming down to a last-second possession. Every game's going to be entertaining. How do you think this thing's going to play out?
I mean, you.
Or am I just that damn good that I just took the words right out of your mouth?
You might have taken the words right out of my mouth, because I definitely think that if there is going to be a team that dominates the series, it would be Golden State, just because of the talent on the team, versus when you compare to the Cavs. But I mean, LeBron James is the best player in the world. You have a Kyrie Irving, who is one of the better point guards in the world. You got Kevin Love, who is playing decent.
Finally making a salary. He's making his paycheck.
Decently
earning his paycheck.
Out of his mind right now. He's playing very well, and it's funny because we had a ghost of what Kevin Love was the past 2 years on this Cavaliers team. He was not the same. People forget that this guy was an all-star for the Timberwolves, was averaging a double-double, was leading the league in rebounds. Kevin Love. Yes, you listening at home, that same Kevin Love. So
he's playing really good basketball right now, and I think he could definitely be a X factor in the series.
Exactly. But you then look on the other side of the equation, right? Now we have Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, who was the league MVP 2 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So
2 years ago, and then
2
they have
years ago,
the last
and then,
two MVPs.
And then
Curry got it
Stephen
last
Curry was the unanimous MVP. Don't get Paul and I started on that. And they're just so talented. It's insane. So, in my honest, what do I think's going to happen if I had to bet money in Vegas? Oh gosh, Paul, that's tough. I'm someone who thinks a lot with his heart rather than his head, and I'll be honest, I'm definitely a Cavaliers fan. I want to see LeBron James succeed, and if the Cavs beat the Warriors this time around with Kevin Durant, he's the best all time. And we could go deeper into that discussion, but if you think about this Warriors team, that is one of the more talented teams we have ever seen and over the past 50 years, and LeBron James wills his team to a victory over them 2 years in a row. He's the best.
Yeah, I mean,
by the way, Mike Breen is the announcer.
Ah, okay.
Mike Breen.
There we have it. Good job out of you looking that up. On the go. I look at defensive matchups in the finals, and I think that's really kind of what it's going to come down to. I mean, Steph Curry, he weighs like 50 pounds. He's no threat on defense. I don't care. He's too busy chomping on his mouth guard to play defense. Kevin Durant and LeBron James, they're going to be on each other because Kevin Durant has revenge for LeBron James. You remember LeBron and the Miami Heat, they took down the Thunder 4-1, I believe it was. I don't think it was a clean sweep. But
They almost did, if I remember correctly.
They made mincemeat out of the Thunder. Granted, that was a really young team. Kevin Durant been in the league a couple of years. Westbrook, a couple of years. Certainly not the same player he is today. James Harden, people remember he was still on the Thunder then, was not the same player that he was.
Yeah, that's right.
James Harden was a Thunder player. So I think LeBron and Kevin Durant, they're going to square off. Draymond Green's the best defender, second best maybe behind Durant. I don't know. He's a very good defender, so you stick him on Kevin Love. They kind of cancel each other out. I just look at defensive matchups. Golden State's going to be freaking tough matchup. I mean, I saw Tyronn Lue the other day said something like it's tougher to match up against Boston than Golden State because they run a lot more different schemes or something.
Yeah, what'd you think about that?
I didn't hear the full quote. I wasn't watching the press conference.
I think you nailed
or anything
it.
Like that.
That's exactly
but
what he said.
I saw, bits and pieces, and he was talking about the schemes, and I go, look, maybe from like an X's and O's standpoint, because all Golden State does is just chuck up the three ball. So maybe I can see that.
Yeah, but they're scheming too. So.
But they're so fast. They're so flashy. They're so good at passing the ball.
I want to say that was just Lou more giving a tip of the cap to Stevens in that moment. And I think it was kind of just overanalyzed because there's nothing else to do when there's only 3 teams left in the playoffs.
Possible. Either way, it's going to be incredibly entertaining. Cannot wait. A week from tonight, Game 1, NBA Finals, Oracle Arena.
Yeah, and the Golden State's going to be a little cold.
They've had a nice little vacation. LeBron got to take the last fourth quarter off of Game 5. Was in sweats, but we'll see. I think both teams are going to be well rested. Should be a great series. Any other final thoughts on the NBA?
No.
Okay.
We could talk about the the circus that is the Ball family and the fact that they're not doing workouts.
You know what?
For
I actually do
particular
have
teams.
a thought on that.
Yeah,
real
I'm
quick,
curious to know
because Danny Ainge. So I was getting my haircut, Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy. I'm sitting there and I'm watching ESPN. It was.
Is that their slogan?
Yeah.
It's good to be a guy.
Yep. I don't think it's good to be a guy.
I'm shaking my head right now.
Watching ESPN, I think it was First Take. It was like Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith yelling at each other, and I see on the bottom on the ticker it says Danny Ainge, Boston GM, says on local radio that Lonzo Ball informed the Celtics, who have the number 1 pick, that he will not work out for them because he wants him and Papa Bear want Los Angeles.
LA.
They want the Lakers. followed it up with something like, it's disappointing. Traditionally, historically, we have still drafted players that don't work out for us. So it's going to come down to who they think is the best fit. He won't have a choice. But when I'm reading the ticker, I just go, no. Lonzo Ball did not tell Danny Ainge that he's not going to work out for them. He might have sent the message, or he doesn't have an agent. LeVar is his agent. So Lonzo Ball might have said something, but let's be honest. LeVar Ball told Boston he's not working out for the Celtics.
I'm sick of this guy. Honestly,
it's unreal.
It's kind of sad, and there's a part of me that feels bad for Lonzo just because he is such a great player and he seems really soft-spoken and obviously cares a lot about his family and doesn't feel, I'm assuming here, obviously, so I need to watch what I say, but it seems like
careful, LeVar might go off on you like he did Christine Leahy.
Oh, gosh.
Stay in your lane.
But it seems like he doesn't want to say anything to him. I think certain athletes with their family, sometimes they do, and they say, hey, you got to take a back seat, and it seems like this is not one of those situations.
I just think it's going to have, and this is my final thought on LeVar
Yes,
Ball.
please,
He's already got more
this.
airtime on this freaking podcast than he deserves. It's going to have really lasting effects on his son. Look, from a parenting standpoint, which I am so not a parent, I have enough trouble getting a date, let alone having a kid. However, I respected, originally at least, I respected how much he cared for his son. By all means, seemed to be a decent parent, maybe a little outlandish, maybe a little, flamboyant in his ways, but overall he wanted the best for his son,
right.
and nothing but a tip of the cap for that. It's reached a point, though, where this is going to have lasting effects on his son. It's backfiring on him.
Yeah.
Guys on the team are going to be like, dude, is your daddy going to come out to the club with us tonight? Like, Does dad have to hold your hand across the street? Like, he is going to be hazed so badly in the Lakers locker room or wherever he ends up going. It's going to be Los Angeles, but I think it's going to have lasting effects, and it's just too bad. It's gotten to a ridiculous level now. Moving on. This is not a segue at all. I'm not even going to call it a bad segue because it's not a segue, but just kind of breaking up the monotony of sports here.
Wait, you don't have any commercials?
No commercials.
What?
Commercial free.
Hang on, just one.
If you're listening right now and you own a business and you want to pay me to read commercials for you, follow me, email me, and we'll chat. But
I was gonna jokingly mention one of them, but then I realized you could maybe get in trouble. I feel like it would be. Even for like however many people are listening, it'd be
thousands of people right now.
Yeah, thousands. Would be fine publicity. Anyways, please segue.
I saw a video today. Have you seen these videos of animals just losing their shit? Have you seen like the sea lion video where the sea lion, sea otter, sea cow grabbed a girl and yanked her into the freaking water?
That was crazy.
Was that not insane?
Yeah, and oh man, hero dad, he just jumped,
launches himself in the water.
Oh man,
and gets her out.
I was like, good for him. That's what you do, dad mode, instant dad mode.
I was so impressed.
I'm surprised he didn't. I'm surprised he didn't bring the seal up.
Yeah,
dead.
The closest comparison I can even think of, like one of the first things that went through my mind when I watched that. I was on a hike maybe a month ago down in Mission Trails, and I had my dog with me, and she was off a leash. And she was off leash. We were walking, and somebody warned us that like somewhere up ahead they heard a rattlesnake. Cool, thanks for the heads up. We go about 50 to 100 feet down the trail, and there's the fattest freaking rattlesnake that I've ever seen on a hike. I mean, this thing, it was not like a little foot long like garter snake or anything. It was thick.
Ugh.
Thick snake, and it was at least 3 to 4 feet long.
Oh God.
Kind of coiled up.
Shivers.
And I see this, and it's not hiding in the bushes. It's not far off. I mean, it's right off to the side of the trail, and I'm 5 feet away from it because I see it at the last second. And I didn't know what to do. I just took off running because I'm terrified of snakes. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets really effed up my S. Just terrified me, that stupid
Rowling.
basilisk. But I'm so scared of snakes that I just yelled, Daphne, my dog, and I just took off running. And luckily, she was right alongside me, took off running. Didn't know why, because she's stupid. But once we settle down and we start walking again, my first thought was, What if she would have thought that was a toy or something? What if she would have went and played with this snake? What if the snake would have just attacked her randomly? I don't know what I would have done. I'm not comparing my love for my dog to a father and his love for his daughter. But I like to think that I would like jump in there and try to wrestle her away from the snake. I'm not sure that I would. I'm not sure that I could do that.
Oof. If it's a daughter, not saying Daphne isn't family, but I mean, if I saw my daughter being attacked by anything, I'd probably try to sacrifice myself.
Sure. Now, have you seen the video of this black bear that attacked a guy? It's been going viral like the last 24 hours.
I have not.
I'm going to show it to you live on the podcast. Watch this.
I have to watch this?
You watch it. It's unreal. It is insane. It's this guy. I don't know where he's at. He's like crossbow hunting. And he's got a bow and arrow, and there's this black bear just kind of walking along the trail, and then all of a sudden it just starts launching at the guy. It just starts launching himself at him, and you cannot, like, this bear has charged him. You cannot escape. And you just hear the guy, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And the camera goes flying.
It definitely attacks him.
It like jumps on him.
And he's trying to shoot an arrow at it. Oh my god.
And he just gets up. He gets up, picks up his camera, and goes, oh my god, it's fucking crazy. Like, walks away. I could not believe it.
Oh, that was scary. Oh gosh. So I'm rewatching it again.
Silver lining, the guy's okay.
He's got his bow and arrow out. What are you gonna do, dude? Here comes the bear. Boom. Oh my gosh, knocked him down.
That was
camera's down.
Unbelievable. So if you haven't seen any of those videos, that's your segue.
Go look them up.
Go look them up. Moving on. NFL. I want to talk a little bit of football here, and we'll wrap up. You are from Seattle, as we mentioned. Mr. Seahawks fan. Want to start with the Seahawks because they've been making some noise lately in the offseason, making some headlines. Colin Kaepernick going to be the backup quarterback.
Oh, I wasn't saying unfortunately to Colin Kaepernick being the backup.
Is Colin Kaepernick going to be the backup of the Seattle Seahawks? Have you heard anything up there driving around listening to sports radio, reading the news, Twitter, and just kind of what's your feelings on it? Would you want Colin Kaepernick to be your backup quarterback and attract whatever media circus he's going to attract?
Last I heard, he was in Seattle visiting their facility yesterday. There's rumors of it being a workout, but I guess that was not the case. They just apparently brought him in. I would be more than happy with him being the backup quarterback so long as it was for the right price. I mean, the Seahawks don't have a ton of cap right now. I think it's a little under $8 million, and Kaepernick as a backup, I don't think commands a high dollar. So, I mean, if he's willing to take a little bit more than a veteran's minimum, which I guess right now is $900,000. So, I mean, give the guy maybe 1.5 and maybe some incentives if Russell does go down. I mean, it's funny. Paul and I can remember vividly, and Paul, of course, maybe doesn't have as much allegiance now to the Seahawks. In fact, none. But back in the day, we were big fans, and I vividly recall you and I just bashing this guy, not liking him at all, and it was because he was good. I mean, he would torch teams with his feet and his arm, and the buzz around Seattle is that a lot of people don't want him, not because of what he did for the national anthem, but the fact that he was a Niner, and that's just weird to me.
That's just stupid.
Thank you. Look,
I don't know if anybody from Seattle that is listening to this. I still have friends that follow me on Twitter and all that, and they might see the link. Seahawks fans suck.
All right, hang on. I don't agree.
That's a bit of an exaggeration.
It's hype. It sounds like he's using hyperbole. I don't agree with what he's saying. Just let that be known.
As a whole, in general.
So you're saying I suck?
No. In general, there's an exception to every rule, Roger. In general, real annoying. Real annoying. And just like the fact that they wouldn't take a guy because he was a Niner. It's just
okay, yeah, that's annoying. I agree, and it's just like, really?
Well, and we're the best fans ever. Every team's got the best fans ever.
Here's the truth of the matter. If the Seahawks are in a game that they need to win, and Russell goes down, and they're looking at the sideline, and it's either Colin Kaepernick or who they have now, Trevon Boykin. Who would you rather have?
I'd rather have the guy that's been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and
thank
was one
you.
throw away from going to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, and there's some people too who think he doesn't have the same stuff, and it's true. He probably doesn't. I mean, look at what San Francisco was.
Wasn't
the past
terrible last year.
couple of years. Yeah, and he was doing that in a Chip Kelly garbage system.
Roger,
and-
real quick.
Okay, what?
Mike Glennon just got like a $40 million payday. Nick Foles, Josh McCown, Landry Jones,
Are you listing backup quarterbacks?
Matt Barkley, Mark freaking butt fumble Sanchez. These are guys that have a job ahead of Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
How many of those guys have been to the Super Bowl? How many of those guys have been to NFC Championship or League Championship games? It's a joke that Colin Kaepernick does not have a job. And it's because of his political stance, and we can argue back and forth on if he's right, if he's wrong, if he was just exercising his right, whatever. It's because of that people don't want to. Look, Tim Tebow, similar situation, had a lot of baggage for a team that wanted to sign. Tim Tebow wasn't that good. He was not a good quarterback. Tim Tebow was okay in college. He was in a successful system with Urban Meyer, but Tim Tebow never went to a Super Bowl. Tim Tebow was never going to take a team to the Super Bowl. It was never going to happen. So I think it's apples and oranges, but I think it's stupid. Another thing going on with the Seahawks that made some news was actually today, Thursday. Again, this is May 25th. This is being recorded. There was an ESPN piece, Seth Wickersham, really interesting article, and it talked about mostly highlighted or lowlighted, I don't know, Richard Sherman and Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. Those were the 3 names that you heard the most. It sounds like Richard Sherman's kind of wearing out his welcome a little bit in Seattle. There was a lot of rumors in the offseason about him being traded or at least shopped. It's not really a rumor, I guess. John Schneider, the Seahawks general manager, said during the draft, yeah, we're listening. We're taking calls. He's available. So it wasn't really a rumor. It was happening. They were entertaining trade offers for Richard Sherman. And it was basically just talking about how Richard Sherman can't get over the Super Bowl loss to the Patriots. Part of me says, yeah, that was the worst loss in Super Bowl history. Another part of me says, bro, that was 3 or 4 years ago. Grow up, move forward, because it's still lingering, and it's apparently, again, I'm going to say allegedly, apparently, whatever. It's lingering in how he goes about himself in practice and around the team, and he thinks that Russell Wilson is being treated differently. Did they talk about any of this at all in Seattle?
There was definitely talk of during the season last year when there was certain outbursts that took place. I mean, in the Rams game when Sherman kind of went off on Darrell Bevell, who's the offensive coordinator, when they did pass on the 1 yard line again, and it almost got intercepted. And then also he threatened to take a media credential from one of the reporters at a press conference. I mean, so it was talked about a lot during the time, and it was kind of just saying, hey, what's going on with this guy? So the fact that, and then it was even talked even more with the whole shopping him, and it wasn't that surprising. Just it could have gone a number of ways. It could have been exactly what it was that it's been said it was now, which is Sherman wanted to trade and the Seahawks were interested in trading him. Or it could have been the Seahawks are publicly saying they're willing to trade a guy, which, by the way, Seahawks don't do that. I mean, not a lot of teams do that either.
Well, you just don't, in the NFL, you just don't really see a lot of trades.
Right, and you definitely
don't see a lot of
big
trades, big name players being traded.
Right, and you definitely don't see teams going, "Hey, this guy's available. Oh yeah, we've been getting calls on this guy, and here it is." It's
Right.
like, whoa, that is kind of unique. So maybe that was something to kind of dangle over his head. That's one theory on it. Kind of put. I'm using quotes here. Put him in his place. But going to the article, I mean, this thing had a lot. This thing had a lot going on, and I'm going to tell you right now, if I was not a Seahawks fan, man, this was so just all over the place, in my opinion. Like, I genuinely would not have cared. And this is not to say that what he did was a bad article. I don't think it was bad. I just was having a hard time, even as a Seahawks fan, following his timeline, because it seemed like he was bouncing around a lot. And like early on in the article, he was talking about a time where Richard Sherman told Russell Wilson in practice.
I was just going to point that out. I got the article in front of me, and I wanted to bring that up. So I'll tell you. It was in practice. He picked off Russell Wilson in a practice, scrimmage game, whatever. Picked him off, and it says, according to witnesses, Sherman threw the ball back to Wilson and yelled, "You effing suck." Another fight broke out. Sherman was cussing and yelling. Wilson seemed stunned.
And here's the confusing part about it. You're reading that, Paul. When would you assume that outburst took place?
I would have thought after the Super Bowl, because
yes.
There's so much going on about, did they want Russell to be the MVP and all that stuff, and Pete Carroll likes Russell Wilson so much that he wanted him to get all the glory. So I could have seen that happening, but it was actually the year before that.
It was the
after
year
the year they won.
They had just won the Super Bowl, and apparently this outburst happened. So my main point here is just to say,
let's not forget the night before that Super Bowl against the Broncos, wide receivers punched each other in the face.
Well, we can both say that neither of those receivers are on the team anymore. I think it was Percy Harvin and Golden Tate, unless it was Doug Baldwin and Percy Harvin. So that was mentioned in the article, and he touches on the fact that it being kept under wraps shows that something about the culture that Pete Carroll has created, and that was one facet of the article. But going back to it just seemed he introduced this idea of Sherman not being over the Super Bowl loss, and then tied it in with this idea that him and Russ are not on good terms with each other. And so it was interesting that he put in the story of Sherman saying, "You haven't suck." I get it. Like, that is
that's just an interesting thing to say to a teammate.
But it definitely is.
Like that.
But it threw me off. I feel like he should have done. I don't know.
That's not like a step your game up, bitch, kind of a thing. Like trash talking. Like, that's just like, you effing suck. Like, that's just.
And I think
sounds bad.
I think that Sherman is just a guy who's just like that, and I think people know, and I don't think Russ can take any offense to that. It's funny because the article ends, no joke. The final bit of the article is literally after that Super Bowl win in Denver. So let's just put this all together. So they win the Super Bowl, and then this training camp incident happens, or practice incident happens. But the article, and he talks about this incident early on in the article, and then the article ends with, after the Super Bowl, Russell Wilson going up to Richard Sherman as Sherman's standing in crutches, and Russ made a point to go talk to him. And whether or not that conversation actually
he was
took
like,
place,
"Love you, man," and Sherman's like, "Appreciate you,"
and whether or not that conversation actually took place, whether or not a lot of this information actually took place, I don't know. It was a lengthy article.
I thought it was incredible. I thought it was so fascinating. It talks about, has Pete Carroll lost the locker room, how this team is so outspoken, and to a point that kind of ties in with Colin Kaepernick, because he's obviously outspoken. So now he's going to be on a team with Michael Bennett and guys like Doug Baldwin, who, don't get me started on Doug Baldwin, and Richard Sherman. But the point that I took away from it was that the defense and the offense, they hate each other in Seattle. Like, I don't know how you could read that piece by Seth Wickersham and think that they don't not like each other. Like, it's evidently clear that the offense is treated one way and the defense is held to a totally different expectation. This is one of the best defenses of all time. They've led the league in
which is
scoring
better
allowed 4 years in a row.
Right.
But the offense sucks. Like, I'm sorry that I'm bashing your offense.
yeah,
but
they haven't
They're
been-
not very good. Like
haven't been
in
good.
5 or 6 years that Russell's been there, I read in that piece, they've only been in the top 10 in scoring twice. They ride their defense everywhere they take them. So I get that, but I could see that being frustrating if the defense has to be held to an insane level, and then the anytime something goes on, the offense just gets a pass. It seems like
Totally.
I can just I don't know.
And I agree to that statement, and I think that's something that Seattle fans are well aware of, that there's definitely probably some frustration from the defense playing lights out all the time, and then they're having to be on the field 60%
give up a
of the
touchdown and a field
time.
goal, you might lose.
Right. And I agree with that statement, but it's kind of interesting how he put a spin on putting faces to the offense and the defense, and then really just, man, he was uncovering some stuff that, like I said again, I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, the fact that Wilson has you sign a disclosure
I highlighted
agreement.
that. Russell Wilson, when he gets a box at the Mariners games in Seattle, you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement to sit there.
Which makes you think that's when he's being himself, right?
He's being a freaking dork.
Yeah, that is when he's
Like,
probably shooting the shit,
Russell
saying,
Wilson is a good guy.
yes.
You and me argue about this often because I think Russell Wilson is the biggest dweeb to ever play NFL football. Like, he is a freaking dork. Now, nice guy. Look, he's not abusing women. He's not doing drugs. He's not having dogs fight or anything like that. But the guy's a freaking weirdo, man. And I'm not talking about his religious beliefs. Wherever you fall on a spiritual level there, to each their own. But the whole, like, how he drank water and it prevented him from getting concussions. It was like Space Jam, Michael's secret stuff. It's Russell's secret stuff, and just other things like God told him to throw the interception or whatever stupid thing he said after that. Like, dude, you're out there. Like, you're kind of out there. And he's outspoken. He's a really good guy, by all accounts. Children's hospital visits, very well spoken, not outlandish. Just, he's a freaking dork. I mean, that's the only word I can come up with. He's a dork.
And you can see how that might rub people the wrong way. And that's what was brought up in this article. But I have a hard time believing that one. The guy had fought through injuries last year. He's tough as nails. I mean, there's no way that the team doesn't respect the hell out of him. And so I think when reading this article, it needs to be taken with a little bit of grain of salt. But I do agree with you. I think it was well written, kind of interesting, if what is being said is true. I
would say my last thing to say on this subject would be that, and maybe it's just because of my roots and where I was from and people that I follow on Twitter and all that, but there's been a lot of controversial rumors around the Seahawks really the entire time Pete Carroll's been there, which is really the entire time that Richard Sherman's been there, almost the entire time that Russell Wilson's been there. They've all been together pretty much the entire time. There's been a lot of rumors. I mean, we talked about that fight in the Super Bowl between Percy Harvin and Golden Tate. There's rumors, Golden Tate slept with Russell Wilson's wife. I pretty much brushed that off immediately. There was rumors that they didn't hand the ball off to Marshawn because Pete Carroll hates black guys or something, and they wanted Russell to be the MVP. And there, guys saying Russell Wilson's not black enough.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
You hear all these things. Some just sound so stupid that you're not even going to give any thought to them. Pretty much everything in here, I was able to say, I don't not believe it. like that could totally happen.
Totally. And hey, makes you wish they did hard knocks on them, huh?
Oh God. Moving on. I got something I got to get off my chest. It's NFL related, and you can chime in, give me your thoughts here. So, Did you see? We're gonna shift gears. We're gonna go to the East. We're gonna go to New England now. Last week, the news around New England was Tom Brady apparently has been telling his wife, Giselle, that he's been having concussions or headaches, concussion-like symptoms, and she basically went on The View or freaking Oprah or Ellen, whatever, and was saying that, yeah, Tom Brady he's had concussions. Like that, the Patriots never reported them, but she said he has concussions. Now, whether she's telling the truth, whether that actually happened, I don't know. I would assume he probably has had concussions, maybe very minor. What is it? Anytime like your brain moves and like hits your skull, like that's a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
I just, as much football as that guy plays, I can't imagine him not having any
he's been in the
concussions.
league for what, 18 years or something crazy?
He's been there a while. He's gonna play till he's 45.
He's definitely
apparently.
had concussion at some point.
So that was the
maybe
news,
in the
that
past
he
year.
apparently doesn't have concussions, but he apparently really does have concussions. They don't get reported. That's a big no-no in the NFL. You have to report anytime, even if somebody sits out a Tuesday practice just because their foot's kind of sore, you have to report it.
Mm-hmm.
Has to go on the injury report. Tom Brady was never on the injury report for a concussion. So that got a lot of people talking about. Now, this week, Rob Gronkowski getting a new contract, a revised contract, and it's going to be incentive-based, heavily incentive-based. Did you hear about this?
I did not.
Hey, did you see this? You hear about this?
Hey,
What's with the taxi driver?
Jay Leno in the house, everybody.
That was Jay Leno and Jerry Seinfeld. So it's going to be like an incentive-based thing where his performance and just his time on the field, like, hey, you play 15 games, you get this much. You play 16 games,
Because he
you
gets
get this
hurt
much.
so much?
Because he does have a long history of injuries. I mean, he didn't play in the Super Bowl last year, broke his back. I broke my back. You know what that's? You don't even know what that is, do you?
No.
Mike Tyson. Look it up. I'll show it to you after this podcast. There's a Mike Tyson bit where he just got done fighting a boxing match. And the guy goes, so what happened there? He's like, I broke my back. And the guy, it's the funniest thing. The guy's just like, what? Like he's standing up, just got done fighting somebody. It's like, yeah, I broke my back. He's like, what do you mean? And he just goes, spinal. It's insane. So, so Gronk, he broke his back. Long history of injuries there. So I get it, right? I mean, the incentive-based contract, like it kind of makes sense on the surface, right?
Right.
Here's why I have a big problem with this.
Yep.
And
okay.
I have a horrible feeling that this is going to be a trend in the NFL now, especially with guys that have been hurt. That they're going to have these incentive-based, hey, play 10 games, you get this much. 12 games, this much. 18 games, whatever. I don't have anything against performance-based. Like, hey, you make first team all-league or all-pro or whatever, $2 million or, anything like that. I have no problem with that. It's the games played incentives that I have a big problem with because we talked about Tom Brady, how he's apparently, allegedly, hiding these concussions. If he gets hurt, and it's in his contract that he needs to play 14 games or he loses $5 million or something. Those are not real numbers. I'm just throwing them out there. You're damn right he's going to lie.
Yeah.
He's going to lie every time. If Gronk gets a concussion, you think he's going to report it unless it's like life-threatening, like serious?
Like they can detect it.
These players are going to think, oh, shoot, I need to play this many games now. I have to lie. Like, I can't let them know I'm hurt. They're going to play hurt. They're going to seriously hurt themselves. And this is a league that, doesn't care if you fight, if you beat up women, doesn't care if you do anything. You just can't do, you can't smoke weed. Can't celebrate. You can't twerk in the end zone.
You can't
This is a
dunk
league
the
that's
football.
got so many image issues. So many of their legendary players that have battled, CTE. Some have unfortunately taken their own lives. That affect, especially we feel that effect here in San Diego. So that's been a long-lasting image problem that the NFL's had. I don't know. I don't have the answers to how they address it. I mean, it's football. Like concussions are going to happen.
Right.
It's too bad. Like I don't know if I have a son, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel if he wants to play football. I honestly don't, because there's a lot of really life-threatening issues there connected to CTE. So my point is just that the average NFL season or career is like 3 years.
Right.
We think of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and guys that have played for 15 plus years. The average lifespan in the NFL is 3 years. So these players, they're hungry. They need their money. It's probably the only contract they're going to sign unless they're a superstar all-pro.
Right.
Why wouldn't they lie to get their contract, their full worth? And so I don't know if you have any thoughts. If not, we could totally move on. I just don't think it's a good trend at all for the NFL.
I mean, just hearing about it, I can't help but agree with what you're saying. I think it's kind of a dangerous road the NFL could potentially be going down, and I'm hoping the players union could maybe address that.
The NFL has the worst contracts in
Ever.
sports.
Absolutely.
They are not player friendly at all.
Not at
they
all.
Only
They can
benefit the owners.
Yeah.
I could sign you to a $20 million contract, 4 years, $5 million a year, right?
Only
You-
$2 million guaranteed,
$2
and
million
let's
guaranteed.
say
You break your ankle
cut
halfway through season 1, I pay you that 1 year and you're gone.
$2 million. That's all you get. You're cut.
That's when I hear these assholes that are like, "Oh, I hate it when these players don't honor their contracts." Why should they?
Mm-hmm.
Why would they? The owners aren't honoring their contract. Both parties signed it, right? They don't have to honor it. I have no problem with players saying, I got to make as much money as I can as fast as I can because it could all be over tomorrow. If I land wrong, I could be out of a job. And maybe my career is over. I don't know. So I have no problem with them doing that. The NFL, they need what baseball's got, these fully guaranteed contracts. That's the only way that you can avoid this.
I agree with that. It will probably never happen.
Probably not.
Just the way NFL is played, football is played versus baseball, the amount of games, a lot of factors into it. Honestly, people, we could talk about this all day, the NFL salary cap, but Paul, I think you brought up a good point, and that definitely is a scary path that the NFL could potentially go down if they so choose.
We'll see. Anyways, OTAs are, I think, even underway right now, like off-season workouts, training camp, getting ready to start up. So kind of looking forward to 2017 here. What I did is I came up with, I won't necessarily call them my top 3 predictions for the NFL season,
Okay.
but 3 of my top predictions. I want to have a conversation here. We'll go 3, 2, 1. I don't have a whole lot after that. We'll wrap it up. So number 3, Aaron Rodgers will be the 2017 NFL MVP.
I love that. I love that.
That's pretty damn good, right?
That's good stuff.
So,
And I'm
this isn't
excited
just
to hear the
true or false.
rationale because there has to be one particular thing that you're going to mention.
So, first of all, I think that they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFC. They
Went to the NFC
Have-
Championship last year.
They did. They've loaded up. They lost Eddie Fat Ass Lacy.
Hey, go Hawks.
He slimmed down to like 300 pounds, so he got some bonus incentive.
255.
Yeah. So look, I really like what they got going on in Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers is single now.
Uh-huh.
So may not be getting laid as much.
Okay.
Might be getting laid more. I don't know.
Oh my
A
goodness.
single Aaron
Paul.
Rodgers, who knows? I'm just saying. I mean, he's a pretty he's not an unattractive guy. He's got a shit ton of money. Who wouldn't want to date, what woman wouldn't want to date one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL?
True.
Anywhere he goes, he's going to have his pick. So,
Jeez. The Reindl report, ladies and gentlemen.
and this is so not like the base for my, 'cause this is a legitimate prediction. Like, I really do think he'll be the
It's
MVP.
got it. Honestly, my rationale would be he's single.
He's single. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know anything about his relationship. I don't know how they were, if they ended civilly, if they hate each other now.
Uh-huh.
But man, I just know relationships suck. So I'm a lot happier when I'm not in a relationship. So now that he's got nothing to worry about at home, look out, NFL. Aaron Rodgers is back. Okay. Crickets, moving on.
I can't. No, I was like, oh man, he nailed it. I don't want to say anything.
Good. Moving
All
on.
I'm gonna say is these next two. Whew, they better be. You start with that one at 3. So are you ranking them like you think it might not happen? Or is it just bulleted and you happen to say 3?
I mean, if I wouldn't bet my paycheck, like I wouldn't bet my salary on.
But would you
Aaron
say you're
Rodgers.
number one? Oh, okay,
I
sorry.
would say I'm most confident in my number 1.
Okay. This
Number
makes sense
2,
now. Okay.
the Dallas Cowboys will significantly regress in 2017.
Ooh.
Now, when I say regress, I don't mean they're going to go 4-12, but I don't know, like 8-8,
Well, I don't know.
7-9. Look, how about this? 9
Okay.
and 7 at best. This is a team that went 13-3 last year.
Mm-hmm.
9-7. Would you call that a regression? I mean, that's
That's
4
for sure.
games,
I
right?
mean,
Like,
you're not talking about first round bye anymore with a 9-7 record.
yeah. So, I mean, I just think sophomore slumps are a thing. That's there are stats to back that up. Players traditionally do not do as well in their second year as they did in their first year, especially a guy like Dak Prescott, who came in with nobody had film on this guy. Nobody had seen him before. Now everybody they're going to have to face, they've got a season's worth of film on him. And you factor in the scheduling when you are the number 1 seed. I think that's how it works. If you're the number 1 seed, not the team that goes to the Super Bowl, but if you're the number 1 seed in a conference, you have the toughest schedule the next year.
Right. So
you get all the division champions.
Exactly. So the Cowboys will have to face in the North. Who was it? Green Bay, or did the Pack? No, or the
Vikings won the division, didn't
the
they?
Vikings won the division. Oh well, lucky them. For
Well, it
Dallas.
wasn't the Bears. Tell you that
Well,
right now.
yeah, Cowboys got faced then the Seahawks, and then the South they got faced Atlanta. So I mean, those are 2 tough matchups right there.
Cowboys regress in 2017.
I'm with it. I agree, but here's my one but. They play in the NFC East, and
I'm not saying they won't win the division. 8-8 could totally win that division. 9-7
Fair.
probably
Fair.
does win that division.
Fair.
10-6 definitely wins that division.
all right,
Any of those would be. And look, when I say regression, I mean like they're not the same team. Because obviously, like, look, Golden State last year won 73 games. This year they won 67 games. Technically, that's a regression. But come on, that team did
Yeah.
not. That team's not significantly worse or anything like that.
yeah, I agree. I think Dak and
Zeke.
Zeke will have a down year, like you said, and I'm with you, man. 2 for 2.
And they got no Tony Romo and no Mark
Well,
Sanchez on the bench.
I shouldn't say 2 for 2 because I don't necessarily think Rodgers will be the MVP, but I like the idea that he's gonna tear shit up.
Yeah, amen. Number 1, this is just the easy. This one is just simple, and I understand if you have certain allegiances in the NFL that you won't agree with it.
Something tells me you're specifically going to tell me something that's gonna maybe agitate me.
Colin Kaepernick leads the Seahawks to a Super Bowl. No, I'm kidding. That is not one.
That wouldn't
Number
agitate me at all.
Number 1, New England repeats as Super Bowl champions.
Oof.
I would bet money on that now.
Oh wow.
I wouldn't bet my year's salary.
How much you want to bet?
I wouldn't bet the farm. I'd like $10.
You want to bet $10 right now?
I'll put $10 down.
How about this? We'll make it fair. Where are the odds in Vegas?
I have no idea.
We'll
But
look-
I know New
We'll
England's
look up
favored.
we'll look up the odds in Vegas, and we'll do some sort of thing where it's like, if you win, you get X amount of dollars, which will be more than what I would get. Fair?
Sure.
Okay.
We'll do something
All
like
right. Rationale
that.
time.
So I get New England.
you would get
and
$10.
I get New England and you get the field kind of a thing.
Exactly, and you would get $10, and I would only get like 2 or something.
Sure, that sounds good. I mean, my rationale: Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, done.
But aren't they bored at this point?
No, I don't think they are.
Huh.
Bored of winning, bored
That's a good
of
point.
bored of becoming the goats. Like, no,
I mean, they're already there.
pretty much.
Now they're just cementing it.
I mean, you're always going to hear the Joe Montana argument
Mm-hmm.
against Brady. Whatever. I think it's stupid. I mean, Brady's going to start putting rings on his toes by the time he retires. Do you have any argument why they won't be the Super Bowl champions? I mean, look, this was a team that was not at full strength even in the Super Bowl. Gronk didn't play.
Right.
As long as those two are together, I have Belichick and Brady. I have no reason to think that they won't be Super Bowl champions. The AFC is garbage. I mean, the Raiders might have been there.
Steelers, huh? Steelers could maybe.
I'm taking Brady.
Houston with their new quarterback, their young quarterback.
Stop.
Hey, he's a winner, man. Watson's a winner.
No. I
Who
mean,
else we got?
he's not gonna go to a Super Bowl. I'll tell you that right now. I would say the Raiders. I mean, they were the only team that I thought last year would even have a chance, and then Derek Carr broke his leg. If he stays healthy,
Hey,
maybe.
Raiders with
But-
Marshawn.
I mean, they're going to be fun to watch. They might go 12-4. Would be insane. For them.
Patriots and Raiders play each other, don't they?
Patriots are going to go 13-3 minimum next year.
I'm just saying.
So Oakland's
be a
going to
fun
have to
game.
go to Foxborough in January if they want to win. You know, the road to the Super Bowl.
Well, I
gonna
think
go-
they play each other in the regular season, though.
I think they do.
Because of what we were saying about the
Right,
ones
they got the number
playing.
one seed. Yep. We'll see how it goes. I mean, dude, that's all I got for me. We're about an hour in. Final thoughts on the Reindl Report here?
Oh, man. How about my bold prediction? You want to hear my bold
Yeah, let's hear
NFL
it, please.
prediction? Willing to bet money on it. In fact, I already have with one of my friends. Marshawn Lynch rushes for over 800 yards.
Yeah, I think that's a bold prediction. If he gets 600 yards, I will be freaking shocked.
You want to bet? I'm just kidding. No, man, it's been a good time. I'm really excited to eat a burrito.
Yeah, this guy just flies into San Diego, doesn't have a burrito yet. Like, did not get off the plane and go directly to a taco shop.
It's crazy. I should have told my Uber driver. I should have said, "Hey, let's go.
You should have.
Burrito, best burrito shop in town."
All right, we need to get burritos. That's going to do it for episode 43 of the Reindl Report. You can get this podcast and any other podcast on the website. That's www.thereindlreport.com. Also on iTunes. You know, pop open the little, what is it? It's like a purple microphone, right? The icon.
It's some sort of purple thing.
Some sort of purple
Takes up
thing.
a lot of data sometimes for me. I'm always having to delete podcasts.
Said podcasts. It says podcast. Go there, search the Reindl Report. You can subscribe. Look, it's the shameless plug that I make every episode, but it would really it would be great for me if you could do that. Subscribe if you like or if you comment on it and share it. You know, a simple comment. You could even be like, "This guy sucks." It could just be the letter A. I don't care. Apparently that helps me like rise in the ranks of the podcasting world on iTunes. So if you feel so inclined, I would love for you to comment on that. If you've made it this far, if we're an hour into this damn podcast and you're still here, you can take 10 seconds and just write some stupid comment. Follow me on Twitter at Paul Reindl SD. I would normally say you can follow Roger at whatever, but his Twitter game is weak.
It's really bad.
It's bad. You don't want to do that.
I
So
mostly just do Twitter. Look, I said do Twitter. That tells you right from the get-go. I don't know what I'm doing there.
He has no idea.
I just do it to stay on top of news.
that's going to do it. Until next time, talk to you then.
See ya.